Hey guys, Nomi here. A small disclaimer about the audio quality in this episode. Unfortunately, my mic is not working as it should, and we are aware of some sound quality issues from my end of things. Rest assured, we are working on this for future episodes. Lethan, who was editing this week, has done an amazing job fixing up the audio. However, I just wanted to apologize in advance. Thank you for your continued support. Now, on with the show.
Welcome to the Seireitei, a Bleach fandom community podcast brought to you by Gin's Find a Friend Amigo app. Have you lost your Lopi? Are things getting lonely? Don't worry, use this app to find fellow sadists today in your area. My name is Lethan, and today I'm joined by Nomi.
Yes. Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Nomi. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yes. How are you?
Yes, very good, very good. We have a lot to get on with this year, haven't we?
It's not daunting at all.
No, not at all, not at all. We were just gliding along at our glacial pace, and then Bleach hit us with like a ton of bricks. So now we have to step our foot on the gas a little.
Now we have to be like Ichigo and learn Bankai in 3 days. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like. We're having to turn that dial up to Yoruichi. All right.
Yeah.
So, will we kick it off with our episode summaries?
We shall. So, in episode 152, Ichigo Strikes Back. This is my Bankai. The episode starts off with Dondo Chaka chasing Renji, saying he needs to find Nell. Else what? Who knows? Renji certainly doesn't, as he kept running away. I mean, who wouldn't? Meanwhile, Ichigo is still being stubborn, his stubborn self in his refusal to go Bankai in his fight against Dordoni, which makes a change. When Dordoni unleashes what could be a fight-ending Sero, Nell jumps in and swallows it. She should have said if she was hungry. When Dordoni attacks Nell in retaliation, Ichigo finally goes Bankai, revealing that he was holding back for fear he wouldn't be able to defeat stronger opponents. He defeats Dordoni and Nell heals him, and Dordoni laments that he just wanted to be a real boy, before repaying Ichigo's kindness by attacking him again.
This brings us into episode 153, The Devilish Research, Silapro's Plan. After Ichigo defeats Dordoni a second time, a group of people called the Execution Squad appear and tell Dordoni that they're there to execute Ichigo, who he then proceeds to defend because Ichigo was a right cool pal and didn't hold anything back on him. We see Chad struggling against Gantenbane and a Rancor with an orange afro, and Uryu isn't having much luck either, fighting the Rancor who's using like this unusual yo-yo style power, who we don't get the name of, but to be honest, I'm just going to call her the yo-yo Rancor because I don't care enough to remember any of these people's names. We see Zalapro getting pulled up by Aizen for his part that he played while Rukia runs an endless flight of stairs only to be led into a room with, wait for it, Lieutenant Cayenne Shiba. That brings us nicely into episode 154, Rukia and Cayenne, the Sorrowful Reunion. Rukia is stunned, rightfully so, facing her mentor and the man she killed. We get some beautiful flashbacks to her time training with him, interspersed with the clash of their training swords as Cayenne proceeds to literally mindfuck Rukia around. After telling her how his body was fused with the hollow before returning to Las Noches, he then tells her of a plan that only she can help with, and when she runs towards him, he tries to dispatch her, blaming her for killing him. Determined to set things right, Rukia offers to exchange her life to settle the score, but resolves that she won't do this until she rescues her friend. Kaien then asks for her to bring the 4 heads of her friends instead, which outrages Rukia, and she then resorts to using her Shikai to beat Kaien back, understanding that who she is facing cannot be the loving mentor that she once knew.
We had 3 vastly different episodes this week.
Yes, I feel like these episodes were like the first 2 didn't really care that much about. Like there was some kind of cool Aizen and Gin stuff interspersed in there. There was like it was really cool getting to see Zalapro and who he is and getting that kind of introduction. Like because obviously he's obviously an important character or he wouldn't have popped up.
Yes,
So
that's the
that
first time we've got his name as well, wasn't it?
yes, because we saw him sitting at the table of
Hmm.
the Espada, so we know he's an Espada, so we're getting that. And then for me, it was the last episode that I've got most of my notes for because this is Rukia's going up against an actual Espada. Like everybody else is fighting these fake Espadas that got replaced. Rukia's actually fighting an Espada,
Yeah.
and it is Kaien Shiba. So most of my notes are for that episode. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't give a shit about the other fights that are happening right now.
That's fine. They weren't that interesting.
They're really, really not. It makes me wonder, like, why are they? Why? Like, what is the purpose of this? So I understand Ichigo's fight, and do you know what? I'll discuss this more when we get into it. But we've changed up our format slightly, haven't we? Because we now want
Mhm.
the manga and anime differences up front.
Yeah.
So just so that we know we're discussing canon content. So I'll let you take it away with them.
Okay, so episode 152 takes place during manga chapters 252, 253, and half of 254.
It's about standard.
So that's pretty standard. It's a whole new volume as well. This volume is number 29. It's called The Slashing Opera,
hmm
and on the cover of that opera is our yo-yo girl.
Oh,
So
cool. Yay.
there's that. As for manga anime differences in the first episode, it was literally just fight panning. 14 pages of manga got turned into 10 minutes in the anime
Okay. So
just
fight
because they
filler.
stretched out the fight and played around with him not wanting to go Bankai anymore. So yeah, it was literally just the fight panning for that one.
Okay. And so the vomit and saliva thing is actually canon.
Hmm. Unfortunately, so.
Okay, okay, okay. Right, okay. Well, let's discuss that episode then. So, for me, like, I felt like this fight made sense to me out of all the fights that we're seeing, other than Rukia's, which we'll get to. But this fight kind of made sense because even although I don't care about Dordoni. Like, I'm sorry if he's a favorite character of yours out there. If you're one of like 5 people that exist in the world who like him, then that's fair. But like, I feel like he was put there because Ichigo needed to exert some of his power. Like he was the realization for Ichigo that Ichigo cannot just keep ploughing on and saving his holification and his Bankai for the people that he wants to, such as Ukiura, Grimjow, and I guess in Ichigo's mind, people like probably Gin, Tozen, and Aizen are probably other people that he's thinking he'll have to reserve his power for. He's had to use
Yeah.
it on like an Arankar that we just didn't like nobody cares about. So that's a huge surprise. So I think like from Ichigo's perspective I understand it. But yeah, like so that battle kind of made sense. Did it need to go on for as long as it did? Probably not. But here we are.
Do you think Ichigo was smart in doing what he was doing? Like he was purposefully withholding his strength because he didn't think, as you said, he wouldn't be able to beat the stronger opponents. Do you think he was right to have done that, or do you think he should have just sliced them down to get to them faster?
I can understand his want to do that. I think it's hard because obviously we don't know how much power that actually drains from him.
Hmm.
And does getting beaten around like that use up less energy than his Bankai and Holification? Like, who knows? So it's very hard to answer that properly. I just keep like circling back to that episode of Dragon Ball Z where Goku and Gohan learn to stay in Super Saiyan form, like just
Mm.
day to day they just live like that so that they never need to quote unquote power up, so they use way less energy doing it. And I just think that if Ichigo could learn to do something similar with his Bankai, I think that would help him out, but obviously he just didn't have time to do something like that.
No, he
And that's
didn't for
obviously the,
3 days.
they were trying to do that with a hollow mask, you know what I mean, like keep it on for
Yeah.
longer. It's really about stamina then, isn't it, rather than just your energy. It's stamina as well. And the bottom answer is I don't know. What do you think?
Torn between, I see where he's coming from, but it is a kind of little bit foolish thinking that he just could have. Ichigo's the type of person anyway who goes Bankai at the smallest drop. He he hadn't really grasped all this new power. He was still kind of learning about it. He thought, going Bankai was the best thing, and there was nothing beyond Bankai. But now he's got this hollow and he's learning to harness his hollow, which, I mean, he harnessed his hollow very well in
He
that
did.
fight. He was like, I've only got this for a second, but he used that second. There was no waffle and he just went straight for it.
He did.
So you can see the growth from Ichigo from when he was first storming the Seireitei to rescue Rukia to now he's storming the Quaker Mundo to rescue Orihime. You can see a difference in his power levels and his understanding of his own power. So I think he was right to do that, but I also think there probably could have been another way that he could have done it as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just going to say this once, like, the audience probably knows I've got very little tolerance for bullshitty things now. Oh, wow, I'm very much a third almost. Yeah, I can see why that score was quite high on my Go test, but like these side characters like Don DeChaka, Pache, like I don't care for them. I'm not interested. So see the scenes with like him and Renji and that, like I don't care. But I did really, even although Nell is annoying as fuck, like she's really annoying. And I think part of that's got to do with the nippy voice actress that they've got for her in the dub, which is really grating. It's like nails on a chalkboard. But I did love seeing Ichigo went bonkai for her, like to protect her. And then it was nice getting that little moment of like him almost chopping off that guy's like the Rankar's fingers to protect her again. And like little scenes like that were pretty cute.
Yeah.
And then the vomit and saliva thing, just please no. I mean, I'm torn between liking it and not liking it. Because like I feel like there's a certain etiquette when it comes to female characters, and it's nice to see Kubo break that. But I feel like the saliva was enough. Like he could have it could have stopped there. It went a bit too far for me. Yeah, don't watch when you're eating your dinner.
Speaking of Nell, though,
Mhm.
her surprising way of saving Ichigo by swallowing Dordoni's Zero.
Yes, that
I
was
mean,
very cool.
that was, and considering the fact that Dordoni is a fallen Espada, so he was up there with the big dogs, and then you've got this little tiny little Nell who doesn't look or act like anything important or strong, and she just goes and fully swallows the Zero and reflects it back at him. That's got to take some power.
That has, and I wonder if that ties into what Don DeChaka was saying, where he was like, "We have to get to Nell before she," and then he kind of gets cuts off. So there's
Yeah,
obviously
he's gonna.
something more to Nell that we're getting hints at that we don't know about, and we're seeing this little flash of her power. So there's something there.
There's something there, and I hope it redeems Nell, because at the moment
Yeah,
Nell's not in our good books, so maybe this might redeem Nell.
agreed. But that was like all I had for 152. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, because most of it was just understanding Ichigo, finding out a bit Ichigo, also kind of feeling a little bit sorry for Dodoni in a sense until he
Yeah.
stabbed Ichigo, but you can see where Dodoni is coming from as well. He's just been demoted, and other people have taken his place. So yeah, he's going to want to try and prove himself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
did. I think he would have been one of those characters I would have liked to have gotten more time with, and I probably would have ended up liking. I think out of the three that are being fought right now, against like Uryu, Chad, and Ichigo, he's my favourite.
yes, yeah.
Yes. And then that brings us into 153 then. So what are our manga and anime differences for 153?
Okay, so 153 is the start of some very interesting anime choices. Let's
Okay.
just go back. I'll start off by saying 153 takes the manga chapters, it takes the last half of 254,
Mhm.
it takes half of 256, 255,
Mhm.
it takes a couple of pages of 256, and it takes a few pages of 262.
Oh Jesus! So it jumps around.
It does.
Right.
It really does. So there's a lot of jumping around. There is reasons that I can't go into. Like Rukia mentioned, how we see that short clip of Rukia,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Oh, Chad and Ishida's spiritual pressures are fluctuating."
Mhm.
It's only Chad's that she mentions in the manga because something happens with that fight that we haven't seen yet in the anime. So it's going to be interesting how they come back around to that.
Okay.
And anime Ishida's a lot more sexist.
Anime Ishida? Really?
Yep, yep.
Why?
So he's all about in his fight against Yo-Yo Girl, who is another difference. We actually get her name in the manga, but we don't get her name in the anime. Because that's when it starts jumping. She's about to tell
Jumping.
her name, and that's when we skip to other people.
I really don't
So
care for her name anyway. Like, even when she gives me it, I'm going to be like, yeah, yo, girl, because I really don't care.
I I couldn't. I was wanting her name so I could at least learn how to pronounce it. um. So yeah, he's talking about, oh, she's female, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, Sheena, that's really sexist of you. Like I can't remember the exact quote, but she's like, um, it was this female Ivanka is using, and it was very specific, and it's annoying me that I can't remember what the quote is, but it was very specific to like being very sexist and making a note of the fact that she is a female Aranka, not just a Aranka. Like it was very much different to female Aranka. I don't know what it was like in the dub.
Hmm, I barely paid attention if I'm being
Yeah,
honest, but yeah, I guess that's not in the manga then, and that's a bit of a shame actually because Uryu's character has never struck me like that, and I don't think Kubo intends for him to be like. I never got that even when he was speaking about or thinking about Orihime when they were in the Soul Society together. Like
yeah,
he never ever struck me as a kind of sexist character. So that's a bit disappointing. And again, it's just like the anime does butcher characters. Like especially for me, Uru, Renji, and Orihime's character gets absolutely butchered in the anime. Um, but yeah, nice to know.
yeah. And it was weird because there was a whole fight scene in the anime that wasn't in the manga that actually probably could have done with being in the manga,
Hmm.
because it was all about is showing the, I don't know, I felt like the anime was redeeming Ishida because they were making him into this strategic smart person who's like watching and observing how Yo-Yo Girl is fighting.
Hmm.
But then he but then the anime debunks that and kind of um goes back on themselves because they gave the girl this like this gimmick of how she fights, but then they completely took that away from her so they could get back to the manga. So it was both. It could have been done just to see how calculating Ishida could be when he fights and give him that little bit of, look, he is smart, he can fight strategically. But
Hmm.
it was weird in the sense that they had to give her this fake gimmick to then realize, then come back to the manga. So it was 50-50 for that difference.
Anything else, or was that us?
That was it. Pretty much, yeah. This is the start of all the interesting anime differences. So,
All right.
but yeah, as I said, there's not really much to this episode. We've got the Yo-Yo Girl. Um, we learned a little bit more about the execution squad,
Yes.
which was interesting. That they came here to kill Ichigo, but Dordoni saved him, and let him escape.
I did like that. That was quite a redeeming moment for Dordoni as a character in my
Mhm.
eyes. That was a moment where I was kind of like, okay, you've caught my attention, but now you're dead. So, like, bye. But,
Yeah,
like, if he'd stuck around a lot more and had more moments like that, I would have been invested in him.
definitely. And then of course we met Xylapo.
Yes, and like Dale is not here to obviously
No.
gush over this character, but we know that Dale is a fan. And this is just a very brief insight, and Silapro was the one who ordered the execution squad without consulting Aizen. But Aizen did
Yeah.
say, as long as you've got reason, that's fine. And then they mentioned research, so I'm getting kind of Miyuri Kurotsuchi
Yeah.
vibes from this situation here.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. Like, what research? What is he wanting to
Yeah.
research? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And Aizen kind of strikes me as only half interested. He feels like kind of like he's humouring Zalapro. Like, go do your research, like it's like sending a child away to play with their Legos in the room. Oh, like, yeah, that's cool. You go and do that. That's fine. Daddy will be over here building a real house. That was kind of the energy I was getting from it. I don't know. I don't think Aizen is particularly attached to any of his Espada, if I'm being completely honest. I think he just thinks of himself as so far above them. I think he
Yes.
seems more invested in Ichigo, to be honest. Like what he was saying when he turned to Gin, and he's like surprised by how much strength Ichigo took to defeat them. And where he was like, he was almost disappointed, where he was kind of like, oh, that did, it took more than I thought it would have, like kind of like he expected better. And it feels like he's just setting Ichigo up all these tasks to grow his power. It feels like Aizen is still fully in control of absolutely everything that's happening.
Yeah. He's a symbolism of us as the anime watcher, because he doesn't really care what Ishido and Chad and Renji are doing. He's just really
Yeah.
focused on Ichigo, so
I agree. Yes, I agree. Yeah, it was. I mean, I wish he'd made a little note of Renji though, like, because obviously he was mostly talking about Ichigo, referring to Ichigo, but like, I was like, God's sake, so Renji not only needs help fighting, he needs help running now as well. I don't know if that was in the in the manga or not, where Don Dechaka was like carrying him running.
um Renji's like, why are you doing this? It's like, because I sensed Nell. So Dondo Chaka had sensed Nell probably when she had swallowed the Sero,
Yep.
and then released it back. So that was like the power fluctuation that caused Dondo Chaka to then chase after, like, pick up Renji and run even faster.
I'm
But
like,
then Renji's like, well, you didn't have to pile drive me.
I feel so sorry for Renji as a character. It's just like, really? Okay, okay, okay,
Just want to prove myself to my boss. Why do I get this? Yeah.
well. One thing though, at the end of this episode, because this is us now coming into the episode I'm very excited to talk about, but Rukia at the end, like, she goes up all those stairs and then she comes out into a bridge, and I don't know about you, but I was getting flashbacks myself to her execution holding cell. That
Ooh.
bridge that led to that tall building, and I wonder if she was feeling a little bit the same, and I wonder if that's symbolism for what she's about to walk into.
Mm.
Because that's what it felt like. Like, for me, the holding cell was where she reflected a lot on what she'd done throughout her life, and including killing Cayenne. And now it's
Yeah.
Cayenne leading her into a similar building across a similar bridge. And I was like, I don't think that was. I think that was done on purpose. Like, I don't think that was a coincidence.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if Aizen's pulling the strings, and if Aizen's created this lap notches, I mean, he created the sky above lap notches. So I mean, he could have created the buildings below. He probably did that on purpose, knowing that she would at least one day find her way into his quarters or whatever it is.
I actually think it was Gin that was pulling some of the strings here as well. So even though Aizen designed the place, we saw that behind the scene Gin was the one that was actually manipulating where they were all ending up. Because he
Yes.
found it fascinating. Because he liked, what was it he says? He likes a happy ending or something.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But if you think about it, then Geen was on that bridge.
Yep,
So he could have, he exactly knows what he's doing. He knows the kind of effect that's going to have on her mental health.
absolutely. I think this has been done on purpose. And then,
Yeah.
of course, we find out that Rukia's going up against an espada, like an actual espada, not an ex-espada, not a fired espada, an actual espada number 9.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Kaien Shiba, which brings us into the next episode. So, have you got any final notes for 153?
Nope, nothing for 153.
So, 154 then.
154 take Bleach manga chapters 263, 264, and 265. So we have now fully skipped a good, what was the last one I said? 256. So yeah, a good 7 chapters of the manga, which is a good 2 fights. We've completely just skipped them to
Are
go
they the
to.
conclusion of Chad and Uryu's fight?
Hmm.
I wonder why the anime did that then. Do you think it was a pacing thing maybe? Like, this fight with Kaien is obviously a lot more interesting, whereas the fights with the other two are less interesting.
Possibly, it's reminding us that there is actually better to come.
Yeah, there's better stakes, there's higher stakes happening.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a bad choice. It just means that there's a lot of skipping involved when reading manga chapters. But there's a lot of differences within the actual anime and manga itself. There's a lot more flashback, fleshing out in the anime. They brought out the wooden swords. And that kind of instilled a memory of when Cayenne was training her with wooden swords.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the manga just has the line, "This warmth, it feels like I've left my hand out in the sun for too long."
Mm-hmm.
And then that's all it took for Rukia to be convinced that it is Cayenne. And then they bring out the seats and they sit in chalk. Whereas anime Rukia needs a little bit more convincing that it's Cayenne.
Right.
And yeah, it was definitely a lot more flashback. Um, pretty much all of the flashbacks of her thinking and reflecting on everything was all anime added, including drunk Sentaro and Keanu. Oh, no, wait, no. I had to go back and watch episode 49, so now I'm confusing myself with all the flashbacks. Ignore that.
No worries.
I'm getting all my episodes mixed up. But yes,
I think when it's jumping about the chapters of that, it must be hard to keep up with everything.
it was like there was a lot of pausing and like frantically scrolling.
Searching.
Yeah, it's a good job. Like I watched them on, I read the manga on an app because because I was watching this down at my parents because I was down there for New Year's, and if I'd only taken like the one manga I thought I needed, I'd be a manga
Yeah.
short.
That would have been me as well. Like I own the whole paper set of manga, so when I do the manga and anime differences, I've got the actual paper copy in front of me, so I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
But yes, I okay. We spoke a little bit about this, about how Rukia and Kaien were addressing each other. So to me, Kaien was addressing Rukia as Rukia, and
Yeah,
Rukia was addressing Kaien as Lieutenant.
yeah. So the manga has definitely westernized it because the manga also had Kaien calling her Rukia, and calling and then Rukia calling Cayenne Lieutenant Cayenne.
Hmm.
Whereas when I listened to the audio of the sub, there was something that really raised red flags for me, and that was the fact that Cayenne constantly called Rukia Kuchiki. And it wasn't a soft Kuchiki, it was very much a pause Kuchiki. There was something about it that just triggered me, and it was raising red flags in my head, and I was just like, what? It's very subtle, but it's very good. So I went back and I watched episode 49, which is the scene when Rukia is in her repentance cell back in the first arc, reflecting on her past, and Kaien comes up. And the first time Kaien and Rukia ever meet, Kaien introduces himself as the lieutenant, as the assistant captain. Rukia introduces herself, and Kaien calls her Rukia. He doesn't call her Kuchiki. From the get-go, Kaien calls her Rukia. So now we're having this other Kaien, this Aronero Kaien, calling her Kuchiki, and it just raised red flags for me.
Well spotted.
Mm. But you're only ever going to get that on the sub because both the
Yeah.
manga and the anime, the dub, have westernized it and called her first name.
Yep.
Because you're not going to get that. You're not going to get the honorifics because the anime, the subbed anime, also calls Rukia calls Kaien Dono, and the Dono honorific is a little less than Sama, so it's like a lord, but it's a little bit less than a lord. It's kind of more familiar,
Right.
I would say.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. I will admit, I know that some of the scenes were not canon, but see the music stopping, the music kind of fading out between the flashbacks and then the swords clashing on each other, or the swords being
Mm,
drawn, sorry, I should say. Um, the music stopping, that was really nice artistically because he'd done it twice in the episode that I counted, and I clocked it and I was like, oh, that's very well done. Because it's like,
yeah.
okay, we've had this beautiful moment, but actually back to serious shit. You're in trouble. Um, I thought that was really good, and obviously, like my notes have sad faces all over them because I'm like, Rukia just like, I mean, what must she be feeling here? Like
Yeah.
how, like, and obviously she ran practically right into his sword, and he nearly took her out with that one because he underestimated how much she'd grown. Because
Yes.
obviously, whoever this person is, whether it is Cayenne, whether it isn't Cayenne, whether it is the Hollow that's in charge, whether it's Cayenne that's in charge, we don't know. Whether it's a fusion of both of them, they obviously have knowledge of Rukia's skill from when Kaien was alive and training her and all of his memories. So they underestimated how much she'd grown, and she
Yeah, and you
managed to get away.
definitely, yeah, you definitely get that impact more in the anime as well. I've even written here, anime Aranero is a lot meaner because he really drags out and really kind of lulls her into that false sense of security and tries like convincing her that it is him.
Oh, my heart, my heart, my heart, my heart. But this is
Mhm.
this brought an interesting discussion up between me, you, Dale, and Shiki in the podcast host chat yesterday.
It
Um,
did.
where we were chatting about Rukia's relationship with Cayenne and Miyako because, and I still stand firm with this, right? And I'm gonna assume the people listening to this right now, I'm just going to take 5 minutes to assume that you're quite young, right? And because if you're older, you'll have experienced this. But there will
Mhm.
be people that you will meet in your life that will give you the butterfly feeling, that will make you feel shy, that will make you feel like you're unexplained, like you've just got an unexplained draw to them, and you can't put your finger on it, but it isn't sexual, but it is there, and it's like a crush, but there's no sexual romantic feelings involved. It's hard to explain exactly what it is, but I feel like that was what Rukia had for Kaien and Miyako. That kind of like shy, they're older, mentor, they're kind of attractive. They're like there's that butterfly feeling you've got in your stomach. You're drawn to them. You want to spend time with them. You want to please them,
Mhm.
but it's not in a sexual
Yeah.
way, if that makes sense.
It's admiration
Yeah.
and like the whole awe of just being around. Kain was the first person who treated her almost like an equal
Yes.
because especially because watching that episode 49 again, you've got um you've got some random squad member coming in and he's like all prim and proper. Oh, you're the daughter of Kuchiki, you know, you're a noble, I need to treat you with respect. And then you've got the contrast of Kaien coming in and going, oi, you, hand on head, you know, what's your name, blah 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 blah. And he was very down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, all Rukia wanted was someone to just treat her normally.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Kaien did that. And
Yep.
that's gonna stick in her head, and she's gonna really admire him and thank him and be grateful for that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's obviously going to instill those kind of feelings. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Agreed. 100% agreed. So yeah, so I think that's because we were talking about that yesterday. It's like it's a mentor crush, really, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
kind of like what we called it, a mentor crush. And so like to have him come back in this way, that must really fuck with her. Like that is just that's so sick. It's so sick. Um,
And some of what he was saying as well, like you don't joke about things like that.
nope.
And it's like it's a case of, oh yeah, you killed me, so I need to kill the person who killed me. Just kidding. No, no, that's not something a friend would do.
Yeah, agreed. It's I think, and she was so ready to accept that part. It was only when he asked her to bring him the heads of her four friends that she snapped, right? So she was
Yeah,
quite willing to accept that. Yes, Cayenne, like I would happily trade my life to do the debt, like to pay off this debt that I owe. And I don't really think that's a reflection on what she thinks of Cayenne. I think that's more a reflection of how much she values herself.
yeah,
And so that's why she's so quick to just be like, yeah, I will give you my life, but I have to prioritize Orihime first. I'm here to save Orihime, and I will complete that mission. And then it's only when he asks for the heads of her friends that Rukia's like, what did you say? And so
yeah,
it proves to me that she values her friends above her own life. That's how I read that
yeah.
situation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And like, it's probably the worst form of torture anyone could instill on
Yes.
someone. Playing with their emotions, playing with their feelings like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I mean, Ruki is smart,
Yep.
and even probably the smartest people would not would fall for that.
Yep.
It's because it's something so near and dear to her heart, something that has affected her right from the get go. So yeah, it's completely understandable that this Aranero, this Cayenne, got as close to her as he did. But the moment, as you say, the moment he mentioned her friends, that's when she finally regained of her own mind, and she was like, "Wait, no, that I can't do.
Yep.
You're not my Cayenne, because my Cayenne wouldn't do that."
Yep. Oh, it's very well done. Like, Kubo had a lot of fun here. Kubo
Yes.
had a lot of fun here. I will admit, right, a little bit of comic relief in the centre there was Gin's attempt to bond with Ukiora, which did really make me laugh. Since
I love
Loopy
the fact
died.
that Keen and Loopy were friends. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, why is nobody shipping them? You know.
Oh, it's so that
Oh.
really made me laugh. That really made me laugh. So yeah, that
Um,
was very funny.
I just love my little Renruki heart sang when Rukia unleashed her Shikai, and it's Renji that we cut to, and Renji knows exactly what's going on. I was like, yay.
He's probably felt that before. And speaking of feeling things like that before, Cayenne he said, "I'm the one that trained you," and he was using words like typical and things, even although he's seeing her Shikai. So this proves that he knew about she had Shikai when he was training her. So if she had Shikai when he was training her, where the fuck was it in episode 1 when she was fighting that first hollow? So one of three outcomes here, right? Number one, she was exposed to the Hokyoku earlier than it being in her Gigai, and it just
Mhm.
wasn't really explained very well. Number two, Kubo fucked up and like messed up some of his timelines and stuff here, and introduced his power and then didn't realize that, oh shit, well, why didn't she use it in episode 1? I don't know. And number three, this is the one that I think, is that Rukia stopped using her Shikai after she killed Cayenne because of the emotional turmoil it took on her.
Ooh.
And she only got it back after she realized that she's putting other people at risk by not being strong enough herself. That's my headcanon. It fits Rukia's character, it fits
Yeah.
with the timeline, it fits with, because Kubo told us that she got exposed to the Hokyoku when she was in the Gigai that Urahara gave her. It fits that timeline, it fits Cayenne still knowing about her powers.
Uh-huh.
And we all know, like, emotional like trauma can really severely impact somebody. So I feel like that is my headcanon and that's what happened.
Yeah, no. I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
That's what I've got in
I,
my role play with Dale right now. We're role playing Ukitake and Rukia right now, but that's what
yeah.
I've put in that.
I love it. Yeah. I was gonna throw in a silly one, like or number four, she's pulling an Ichigo and doesn't want to use her Shikai in a small fight because she's not gonna be able to defeat the stronger ones. But yeah, you know.
Oh.
Ichigo must have got the idea from somewhere. But no, I agree with that. It's actually similar to a headcanon I have for an OC of mine,
Mhm.
that trauma does kind of hold you back, and it's not until you realize who you are and what you can achieve that you're going to be able to do these things.
Oh, 100%. And especially, like, obviously it's going to be the next episode. I won't give too much spoilers away for it, but when we see what power Cayenne has, like, it makes sense that he would have been the one to train her in her power.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
she will associate her power with his, so when she killed him, that I couldn't. I don't think I could face my own power again if I took out
no,
somebody that I cared that much for with it.
yeah. And I'm actually really sad we didn't get to it in this
I
episode, because
know.
it's literally the next panel.
It's
Like, you can't
literally.
not look away from the page without knowing in the manga,
No.
whereas they paused it at probably the right moment.
Yep, yep. So we'll see it. We'll see it. We'll see it. But that's
Yeah.
me. That was pretty much all the major points I had for this episode.
Um,
Apart from my heart getting broken over and over and over again, my poor queen.
I
Precious,
know.
precious queen. What a shame.
Yeah, yeah, literally, it was just a lot of it was just, Oh, there was something
Mhm.
Cayenne said about the hollow that followed him, Cabbage Head, I think we called him,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
one of Aizen's experiments.
Yes.
So this rings alarm bells to me, as if to say, are we going to meet some more? There's
Ooh.
been more than one.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna fall by the wayside, and it's gonna be like the whole Or Hime wishes she could go back in time and fix everything. It's probably not gonna anything come of it. But no, it was very interesting to hear Kaien say one of Aizen's experiments, which to me means there's been more than one.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me actually. It's Aizen. He's got
Yeah.
fingers in every pie imaginable.
Why wasn't Aizen in the 12?
I think that would have made it too obvious, right? But I think he was doing all of that stuff on the side regardless. So yeah, you're right. He should have been. Um, cool. Well, if that is us, shall we move into our Shinigami Cup Peroxide edition?
Sure thing. Mine, I'm going to apologise for this one.
Yeah, who would it best?
Aranero and the face of Rukia's dead lieutenant.
Wow. Wow. I mean, wow. Wow. That hurt. That hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
hurt. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My who wore it best, I put Uryu wearing his defensiveness when his outfit got questioned. Like, she's like, I can't remember exactly what she says, but she questions what he's wearing, and he's like, oh, look who's talking! And he got so defensive, and I just thought it was very funny.
Yeah, there was a lot of questioning to his outfit, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Forgotten about that.
it was very funny. And who was your best
Oh.
ship?
Okay, so because I thought you might do the obvious.
Yeah.
Mine is Ichigo and kindness. It'll stab him in the back just like a relationship will.
Nice. Yeah, I did the obvious. I went for Rukia and Cayenne, right? But not from the seriousness of it, but from the fact that, like, I'm sorry, did you see I know I took a picture and sent it to the host chat. Did you see the angle of that? Some of those like sections. He's literally standing up. She's on her knees. She's facing his groin. He's got his hand on her head, and he's saying, "There's something I want you to do for me." They did that on purpose. Like, they had to have done that. They must have known what they were doing. I was like, are you joking? Like, how can I even take this seriously right now? I'm laughing so hard.
The funny thing is that it's not the fact that I was at this like one of the same pages screenshots you were, but when I went back to watch episode 49, there's a scene in that one where Kaien is caught towering above her, hand on head. You know, I was just like, he's starting her young. That's what he's doing.
Oh, wow, Nomi, wow. Yeah, so that was, and it was more just like, it wasn't like a serious ship, it was just like a fun one.
Yeah.
I just had to, because it was so funny. Like, as soon as I noticed it, I was like, oh my god. Right, and we're not doing our double takes because we're now new streamlined for this year. So we'll come into our fandom shout out then. Who have you got, Nomi?
So, I mean, I've got two because
Okay.
my first one is you.
Oh, me?
Yes,
Why me?
you are my fandom shout out. Your fic, your Pirate AU fic that you gifted to me just needs to be shared to the world because it is amazing. We've got a RukiHime ship, but it's also got characters that you don't normally see. It's got Lisa, and there's Yoruichi in there, and you've got Rangiku, and it's just so amazingly put together and so well done, and I just love it to pieces. So thank
Hey.
you.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm really glad. Yeah, I will get the other chapter of that up because it's just a two-parter. I will get that done ASAP.
You're fine. But my other one is this image to celebrate Kisuke and Yoruichi's birthdays that were just passed. Kisuke's birthday was on the 31st of January, and Yoruichi was on the 1st of January. And this image is just, they've got little ears, and they're just, having the best life, and the shading is just so amazing.
It's so amazing. Oh, the art is so soft. Like, there's something about, oh, it's beautiful. It's so pretty. The more I look at it, the more beautiful it is.
Yeah.
You can see those two going out celebrating like New Year together. Like they must have got hammered every year. Like that just seems like something those two would do.
Yeah, no. And they took the Scottish way of doing things and took 2 days off to recover. It's fine.
Of course. But we've got Hogmanay. We've got two holidays to celebrate. You've got Hogmanay and New Year. So
Yeah.
they just, let's face it, they took trips to Scotland. Fuck it.
Oh, they did. Yeah. So this is by Elva, at Elva_what_the on Twitter. Shout out to them for this.
Incredible. Looks like they're Korean as well if their tweets anything to go by. It's amazing. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I have a piece that was done by Whimsicott with three T's on the end, and this is on Tumblr, and it's like Ukiora and Orihime, and I just think that it made me chuckle, and it is this little comic panel where Ukiora is saying, "Do I scare you?" and he's like showing the hole that he's got, and it's his little hollow hole, and he's like, "Does this scare you?" and Orihime's like, "No, it's not scary. It reminds me of a donut."
I've seen them about. They're so funny.
They're cute little chibi style, and it's Ukiora's face at the end where it's all sparkly and it's got a donut beside him, and it's perfect. It really made me chuckle. So shout out to you, Whimsicott on Tumblr. Go check them out. All these links will be in our show notes, so please go and check them out.
Yeah.
And I think that is everything from my end. You, Nomi?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm never not gonna stop being hyped whenever I hear Ichigo's theme in the manga that we're watching now, knowing what's to come. So this is it, guys. We're getting there.
We're on the countdown.
The final countdown
to number 1. Alright then, well, you wonderful souls, that is the end of another episode. If you liked what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for The Seireitei on Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook, and T Seireitei on Twitter. Each of these platforms will link you to our fantastically deadly Discord family, where you can chat with us about the show, read fan fiction, take part in creative challenges, and talk anything and everything Bleach. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you come in. Make like our favourite orange-haired protector and Ichigo to iTunes to rate us, review us, and make us feel like number 1. To those of you listening on iTunes, or on YouTube, sorry, don't forget to be like Chad and give us a good thumbs up, because we really appreciate it. On the next episode of the podcast, we're going to be covering anime episodes 155, Rukia Retaliates, release of the Desperate Kiro, 156, Ishida and Pesci, the United Attack of Friendship, and 157, Ishida's Trump Card, the Cutter of Souls. We'll see you souls then. Till next time, bye!